Okay, the last little bit about referencing is from the intro. I talked about that the path of the reference is absolutely critical. So we set up the ball, and that was in the rig file. It is looking for the bind file, which is in this absolute path. Okay, and again for the model file, that's in that absolute path as well. So if you suddenly put that model folder somewhere else, it will break the referencing because it doesn't know where to look. And often when you open a file and it said can't find reference, it's because the file's been moved. Okay. So let's have a look at how this is structured within the file itself. And if I go to the bind folder, and if you remember, the bind, the ball file was referencing in the geo. Okay, and there's a reason I always save my Maya files as ASCII files, .ma files, is because you can open them in a text editor. So I'm just going to right click and edit with Notepad++. Any text editor is fine, and generally you will see that the reference lines are pretty much the first lines. Okay, the ones that you see this double backslash, these are just comments, these are not actually used within the scene, and so literally the referencing is the first two, and for some reason, I don't know why, Maya looks at it needs two lines, and you can see that this reference is looking C users my desktop in the folder called pipeline, in the folder called model, and that's my kind of MA, the geometry file where that is. Okay, so if you know that the reference is moved, one way of correcting it is to literally open up the ASCII file and just change the path. Okay, so if you take the file home and you've got a different file structure, then just make sure that the absolute path is pointing to the new file structure, and that's an easy way of changing the referencing. The more referencing that you do, so as I go to the rig, you can see if I edit with Notepad, you just get more lines. Okay, the referencing is always first. It never sits anywhere else in the scene. So as you can see, the pathing is always pointing to my pipeline folder. So if I eventually go and move that off the desktop and maybe move it to my E drive or something, I would always have to make sure that the pathing is following that, otherwise your referencing starts to break. Okay, so that's literally a little bit of a behind the scenes in terms of how the referencing works within a Maya ASCII file. Always within a pipeline, save ASCII files, because you can open it and sometimes get rid of any corrupt elements within your Maya files, whereas binary you just don't get access at all. Okay, so that's a useful tip.